Kings hit the court, watch the magic go down. In the Kings court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the Kings shining star. Expect the unexpected, this is where it's at. From NBA insights to the latest chit-chat. Grab your popcorn, sit tight, we're ready to roll. In the heart of Sacktown, we're feeding your soul. In the Kings court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the Kings shining star. With the NFL, Adams in the ring. Reynolds got the wisdom, hear the praises we sing. Court in session, it's a royal affair. With the fans all around, feel the passion in the air. In the Kings court, the vibe's electric. If you don't like that, we're here to correct it. With the best in the game, we're raising the bar. From the hardwood to the airways, we're the Kings shining star.
Taco Tuesday!
It's actually Jerry Reynolds Tuesday. Whoa, getting a little wild here on a Tuesday. What's up? How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining us on the Kings Court, first of two shows today on the channel. You got Napes tonight making his return for the week. He will be here at 8 o'clock. Make sure you join him. He'll have plenty to talk about. Be rolling his sleeves up.
Roll up those sleeves to your freaking neck.
I know that for sure. So, as you know, Jerry, 4 o'clock with us. So if you have questions, put them in for Jerry closer to like the quarter of the hour, like 3:45, 3:50, so we can kind of group them up so I don't miss any. Kind of a lot to talk about. There's an interesting article in The Athletic about John Hollinger's experience on what he learned in Vegas. And Zach Lowe on his podcast didn't exactly learn good things about the Kings. In fact, came away with negatives.
And/or Minnesota. They have a 2031 swap with the freaking Kings. Any draft, and by the way, one of the talks of Vegas, we're going to get to another depressing team in a second, is just like, what happened to the Kings? Yeah. Just a complete disaster across the board. And they have an unprotected swap with the Kings that they got for facilitating the DeMar DeRozan trade from Chicago to Sacramento. And I think they were very smart to sort of moonwalk out of the Durant stuff this summer. I just think they...
if you look at that...
That was weird. Moonwalk out of the Durant talk? Hope he's talking about a different team and not the Kings. Here's where I want to start. I want to thank all of you. First off, this is the dog days of summer. This is where the grind can be the grind. If you want to talk about trying to get content out of very little or keeping the shows interesting, this is it. And I asked everybody yesterday, can we get to 25 likes? And we did. I think we surpassed 25 likes the last time that I looked. So I ask you today, I'm going to be greedy. Can we get 26? I want to keep trying to get one more like a day. So thank you for those that have been liking the show. Thank you for listening. If you're downloading the show on Spotify, Apple, wherever it may be, if you're on the X, give us a thumbs up. It goes a long way. This is when we really like to grow the channel. We have more time to interact with all of you rather than talking so much and listening to a ton of tape about the Kings and interviews, etc. So thank you very much for the 25. And also thank you. At the end of last show, I realized my soundboard is completely disorganized. So I spent a good 3 hours. I'm about 60 to 70% of the way there. I've taken in some of your guys' recommendations and gals.
Every team really needs what I call a shitbird.
So we're getting it there. We want to make it a little bit more smooth. So thank you for that feedback. I was embarrassed. You're like, give me this sound. I'm like, let me get my reading glasses. Where is that sound at? Can I find that sound? So that's a good thing for the show, not necessarily a good thing for Haunted Horse, because when I look at the categories, Haunted Horse, man, here are my categories. And tell me if these are fair. Jera and Vivek. I think that's fair. Jera and Vivek. We have music and effects. So like Sabaka lives here. And then also our themes, whatever it may be. Little drops.
It was all a dream.
So there's music and effects, right? And then we move down to movies and TV drops. That's where it starts filling up.
That don't make no sense.
We got a lot of those. So we've got them organized by movie now. But then I get down to this last category, Rome and Haunted Horse. So all of the Jim Rome drops and the Haunted Horse drops. Holy moly. Is it a field day? So we'll try to stay away. I'll only play one from that category.
The tiny one can't take a hint. He doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand. He is small. Anyway, hey, it is the middle of summer. NBA's on break, but we've got lots to talk about. So we'll get to your comments in a second. Let's get to the news of the day that you need to know. Neek Clifford has been announced as a first-team summer leaguer. How about that? Not a big surprise. He deserved it. You're not seeing Cooper Flagg. You're not seeing VJ Edgecombe or any of those guys because they only played like a couple games. And this comes off of Neek also not playing well in the last two games and that stink that Zach Lowe was talking about going around Sacramento. So you have to do something exceptionally well to get voted on to something like this, to get a award, period. Think about what Sabonis had to do to make the all-star team. Monk gets snubbed for sixth man. I get it's only summer league, but I will tell you this. He joined some esteemed colleagues. Yeah, they're now colleagues. As the fourth player in Kings history to get first-team summer league honors. Anybody want to venture to guess the other three? I already tweeted him out, so you might already know. Also notable, Isaac Jones. He got second team summer league, all summer league. Good for him. In a year, you know what was impressive for me about Isaac doing that in summer league? It was doing it in a position where he was uncomfortable at the four. And you could see when he was more comfortable, especially that Toronto game when he played more of the five. But I loved seeing IJ pull that three with about 20 seconds left after he was spraying them. Just air balls everywhere. It looks like free t-shirt cannon going all throughout the crowd. But he has the nerve, the nads, the confidence to step up to that three in that moment, nails it. So congratulations to IJ, second team all NBA or all summer league, all NBA. That'd be a massive jump. Schedule preseason is out. Raptors, Blazers, Clippers, Lakers. It's usually about the route the Kings make. The Raptors is a little far. You remember LeBron last preseason? You know, flying all the way across the country. This is ridiculous. Play a preseason game. NBA preseason, little bit different than the NFL. You will see a lot of the guys get run in the preseason. You also see Doug Christie probably experimenting a little bit with that rotation. We'll start to see how that comes together. Certainly training camp precedes the preseason schedule. Also notable, if you are a basketball junkie, like some of us, most of us on this channel, the schedule will be released. It's usually mid to late August. It's usually about that third week of August that you get the schedule. So once that's out, we'll do a scheduled release party or at least a conversation around that. Grant and I usually do a show together. to break down the schedule and what we like, what we don't like. Last year's schedule was absolutely brutal. I don't see how this year's gets any easier with the way the West has been. One thing that I am really looking for is I don't want to see the Kings make 3 or 4 East Coast trips. I would like to see that consolidated. In the last 2 seasons, the Kings have had to make late East Coast trips that they have not needed to make in the past. Usually they play the Knicks historically sometime in the month of February, late January, closer to February, early March, I would say. But you've seen some of those trips and some trips that don't make sense. And I get the way that the NBA has to shuffle around because the arenas are used for other things. But you remember the road trip where the Kings were in, were they playing them? I don't know if they were playing a Florida team or they were playing Charlotte possibly, but then they had to fly up to Toronto and then fly back down to play the Heat. Just, it didn't make a lot of sense. So things like that is what I'll be looking for. And definitely we're going to have to identify right off the bat the stretches that the Kings have a chance to maybe go on a run. If they have an easy, quote unquote, stretch, they've got to capitalize on that because they did not last year. That stretch came right around the Christmas holiday, and we all know what Mike Brown basically got for Christmas. He got canned on a tarmac on the way to the team plane. So if you want to talk about preseason, we can do that as well. Dougie McBucket, still a topic of conversation. My only question, which we will ask Jerry about, is why so soon? It just seemed a little sudden. Wouldn't he still be there? I would think he would be there as we get closer to training camp. Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe the Kings wanted to lock that in. Either way, he is coming back to SAC on a veteran minimum deal. A little bit more about the WNBA that I want to talk about as well. I had somebody I heard an argument that I'm like, okay, well, I see that argument, but if that's the argument, then the WNBAers went completely the wrong way about getting that across to the public and to the fans. And the feasibility of what a lockout looks like and also the probability, which right now I think leans more towards 50, 60%. What that looks like for the WNBA is probably not very good. So any other topics that y'all want to hit, we can hit those. And then obviously Mr. Jerry Reynolds, he is with us coming up at the 4 o'clock hour.
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Now see, this guy knows basketball.
It's good when you get something like that out of Jerry. Can somebody get something like that out of Jerry? Can you get this? This is the goal when we have Jerry on.
That's a great question.
Can you get that from Jerry Reynolds? All knowing. I'm also interested, and maybe you all are not. So I'll keep it brief, or tell me if you're interested or you're not. And put that in the chat if you want. Once you hear what I have to say. I want to get his perspective on the WNBA situation because Jerry was intimately involved in crafting that Monarchs championship team. And it was a different WNBA then, but I wonder what his take is with all this going on. So let's get to you. There's some other things going on. Dame, by the way, was introduced in Portland. That is pretty cool. He is officially back. So I know Portland fan is probably feeling pretty good about themselves today. Tristan, first one in. Remember, guys, Rhino wants all wrestling questions for Jerry. See, now, Tristan, here's the thing. I've consolidated the drops.
Tristan, pay attention. Pay attention.
Yeah, come on, Tristan.
Come on.
So you're going to get hit a little bit more. Is the sound too loud? We can turn that down. No problems. Sorry, that was too loud for you, Chad. Appreciate it. My shitbird, we've got that loaded up too. You've got that as well. I'm telling you.
Every team really needs what I call a shitbird.
There you go. Yeah, okay. Nobody knows what OBS means. Don't make me open up your file, horse. Let's put it this way. You would want that sealed. Like, you should seek out a court order.
Order in the court.
To get that audio file sealed, my man, if I were you. Jerry, yes. Not the Springer, though. Not the Springer, Jerry. The Reynolds, Jerry. Over, under on the NFL. Rhino, what stands out to you? We can talk about that. We had those numbers a couple weeks ago, but we can get into it. Juwan Jennings reports to camp. I think it's probably, for me, looking at Trey Hendricks and the Bengals situation, I kind of have the Bengals circled as and they're not a surprise team. They're not a sleeper, but they've underachieved to a degree. Now, not to the level that, say, a Buffalo or a San Francisco has underachieved, but Joe Burrow, it just kind of seems like if there's going to be a year for him, it's this year. You've still got the weapons on the outside, but you need to get Hendrickson into camp. Dude posted a picture today from what I believe was Florida in his bathrobe. And then conversely, Cowboys fan, you've got this whole thing going on with your star defensive end outside linebacker. So can those two things come together? We'll see. But shoot a couple teams at us, BJ. If there's a couple teams you want to talk about, has anybody been watching quarterback? I'm just curious about that. I've always really liked Joe Burrow. I never realized just how calm he is. There was a movie back in the day called The Program. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it. I think it had Omar Epps in it. It had some roided out linebacker whose last name in the movie was Latimer. And then it had this quarterback that was just like the cool dude riding on the motorcycle. And I think his name was actually Joe. And for whatever reason, I correlate that with Joe Burrow. They have like the same personalities, and Joe Burrow is just so talented. But getting back to quarterback, his poise, his calm, the way like he explains talking about why he doesn't yell at his teammates, it's really interesting. Super interesting. So, yeah, we can do some NFL before Jerry gets here if you want to. If you want to get on the show, call the show. We'd love to have you on. The links to call are pinned to the top of the chat. You can scan the QR code that is also on the screen as well. Patrick, your favorite team, Seattle Seahawks. What are their prospects this year? I don't like them, Patrick. I don't like them at all. I think you took Sam Darnold out of the ideal, perfect situation for him to have success in the NFL, working with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota, a great fan base. Seattle has a great fan base too, but you're going to have more games that are going to have weather involved in them. Minnesota plays under a dome, Seattle obviously outside. And if you're not from or have been to Seattle, once you start getting to November, it gets cold. We were at the Niners game 3 years ago, and it was in December, and they moved it up. They flexed it. It was supposed to be the Sunday night football game, and I was kind of like upset. I'm like, dang, I wanted it to be a night game at Lumen Field. And then at the day game, my wife and I, we were frozen. And I actually don't mind the cold weather. She was frozen. We were sitting in the Hawks nest. But back to the Hawks, I just don't think that a defensive-minded head coach, your defense might be good. I just don't think Sam Darnold's going to work out. I don't. In fact, I forget the name of the rookie that they drafted. You could very well see a situation like Russell Wilson when he took over. It was Matt? Who was it? It wasn't Matt Schwab, but the Seahawks signed, help me out here. Somebody put the name in, a mid-range quarterback, and Russell beat him for the job. Kings had a better offense or better offseason than the Lakers and the Warriors. They should have. They're more experienced. Bengals always get off to a slow start. Yeah, they finished strong, though, and there's something to be said about finishing strong. Look at how that helped Detroit roll into the season that they made the NFC Championship on the road in San Francisco, that they should have won, that they blew in the second half. So I'm kind of thinking, hoping that's the case with the Bengals. Maybe they roll off of that heart. No, it wasn't Drew Luck. It was way before that. It was, let's see. It was Matt something. Rookie quarterback battle. Who was it? I don't want the current ones. Matt Flynn. That's who it was. Matt Flynn. Matt Flynn is the name that I was looking for. They signed him. Thanks, J-Bog. They signed him to a very similar contract that Sam Darnold did as well. So Drew Lock. Where's Drew Lock at? Is he still in New York? Patrick, is he still with you guys another year? Or was he only a 1-year contract? Curious. Yesterday, we talked about Dennis said the 49ers should sign. I know how to say it. I just don't want to say it. Equanimous St. Brown, because I follow the St. Brown family. I think that story with the dad is very interesting. Obviously, Amon-Ra's the king of the castle when it comes to the brothers, but I don't know, man. I think you can sign who you want. If you're the 49ers, it's up to Kyle Shanahan to play him. Other than Dominic Pooney, tell me how Kyle Shanahan properly used his rookies when guys were healthy. Like when Christian McCaffrey was back. How are you not mixing in J.P. Mason, who was leading the league in rushing? Look at the guy that ended the season running the ball for the Niners. He had a really good year as well. Seahawks have Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, and rookie Jalen Milroe. Yeah, Milroe was the one that I was thinking about. So Drew Lock is back in Seattle. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So yesterday we talked about the WNBA and the women coming out on All-Star Weekend in shooting shirts that say, "Pay us what you owe us." And I was pretty frank about what I thought on that. I didn't think it was a good idea. I'm not sitting here on my high horse saying the women don't deserve equal pay. I'm saying that your product is not the same as the NBA's. You can't compare it to the NBA. The worst thing for the WNBA is having NBA attached to it because there's an expectation now. So we kind of went through the ups, downs, how the WNBA and the players were going to have to get creative. And I heard this from Antonio Daniels, and I found it really interesting. And it brought up a very good point, a fair point that I think we should listen to. So here's what Antonio Daniels had to say.
Because the thing is, what they're not saying, and this is where people lose it, because when you have this conversation, people will say, "Oh, you know what? Oh, pay us what you owe us," and then show girls in the WNBA, ladies in the WNBA, like, shooting air balls or whatever it may be. Well, you can do that same thing to the NBA. You can apply that same thought process to the NBA. Guys that are making $70 million a year turn the ball over. Guys that are making $70 million a year make bad decisions on the floor. Guys that are making $70 million a year shoot air balls and miss layups too. What they're not saying we need to get $71 million a year like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. What they would like more of, which I completely understand, is like the NBA, where you want it to feel more like a partnership. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sure what their percentage is as far as the BRI is concerned, but I can guarantee you it's
9.3, Antonio.
Think about the difference. So they get
9.3
9.3% versus 50 that the men get. So here's the thing. We can sit here and say, oh, well, they're not grossing as much as the NBA. Well, you know what? Just give them 50% as well. Give them 50% as well and see what that looks like as far as payment is concerned for them. Again, the thing that they are not saying, they're not saying we deserve to be paid like NBA basketball players. What they're saying is in the NBA, there's a partnership that exists. And in the WNBA, there isn't.
So
So the team owners are going to stand on the business,
Rob's
similar to
gonna
what we
talk.
heard from Mark Cuban when he bought the Mavericks, and the team was losing money year after year until the big cash out when NBA valuations went bonkers, berserk, through the roof, and all of these owners that had been spending money out of their pockets to keep their franchises afloat and competitive were able to start cashing in, like we saw with the Lakers and the Celtics. You buy the team for what, $100 million, just a round number, and now you sell it for $6 billion. That's a pretty decent multiple. But the governors and the owners are sitting there saying that we were taking on the risk for decades, paying for this business out of our own pockets, despite making all of that basketball-related income for the big cash out 20 years down the road. So these valuations are soaring. Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay, so I thought Antonio Daniels made a fair argument that I don't think has been presented. That it's not so much, and this is where the WNBA players made a mistake, wearing those shirts. Pay us what you owe us. What is the normal person that's either a sports fan or I would even say not a sports fan thinking when you see a woman saying or wearing a shirt saying, pay us what you owe us? Owe is like the key word there. Owe us. Yesterday, I talked about exactly what Rob Perez talked about right there. 50 years ago in the NBA, the owners were taking risks. The league was about to fold when Jerry Buss bought the Lakers, the late Dr. Jerry Buss. This is a normal kind of thing for a league. This is what happens. You have to build it up. You can't just come stomp your feet and compare yourself to a league that has been in existence for how many years, the NBA? You can't do it. So the WNBA is at this stall point where they want more than ever, or at least that is what the public perception is. They want what the men make, when first, that's not even feasible. It's not, because that much money isn't coming in. But second, the product and the way that the WNBA has handled it. I said the WNBA should be more concerned, or the players, I should say, should be more concerned about where the money is going and how it's being spent. The one concession there was the $25 million for chartered flights. With it, cool with it, all good. They shouldn't have to deal with the BS that we deal with when we fly in the airports and be a public figure, a famous athlete, or at least doing that while on the team's clock. It's up to them if they want to fly private in their PJs in the off season. But they had a $50 million budget deficit last year. The WNBA has not been profitable its entire existence. It gets subsidies from the NBA. It was David Stern's baby. You got to understand, when David Stern was alive and in power, he was training Adam Silver just as much about the NBA as he was the WNBA. He was hoping that that thing would be taken care of with the love, the care, the push that David Stern was putting on it. I mean, David Stern, he would die on a few different hills. Not many, but a few. And the WNBA was one of them. So now that David Stern's no longer here, it's a completely different thing. And yesterday we talked about the fan bases converging. I think within women's basketball, you had separate fan bases. You have hardcore WNBA fans. You have women's college basketball fans, and then you have the casual fan. And last year, the WNBA was not ready, knowing Caitlin Clark and all this attention was going to come onto the game. And those three fan bases came together. And them fighting out these, let alone financial issues, but social issues in the public, in the media, it's silly. So I want to get into the BRI, the basketball related income. I want to kind of break down what that means and what they're asking for. If you're going off of what Antonio Daniels is saying, we don't know the exact numbers of what the BRI is, what the actual number for the entire league that's coming in ends up being. But I want to tell you what goes into that so we can talk about where that percentage should be. If that percentage, if they want 50% of the BRI, then the league is definitely going to be, let's put it this way, the league's operating at a deficit with the players earning 9.3% of the BRI in the WNBA. I don't think 9.3% is fair. I am with the players there. They deserve a bigger piece of that, but there's a bigger you got to tear this thing down. There's a bigger remodel that needs to happen. So I want to get to some of your questions on this, and then we'll continue talking about it. Jerry Reynolds coming up in about 28 minutes. Spread the word. Get your questions in right before the 4 o'clock hour, and we will get to some of those. Flores, what's up, dude? Hope you're having a good day. WNBA players couldn't even get into the club after the All-Star game. Interesting. Question, do they pay more in Europe to play the sport of women's basketball than the WNBA? It's a great question, Peter. I don't know the answer to it. After these are part-time positions, which means they can also pursue careers they went to college for, I'm assuming is what you're saying. My guess is overseas does not pay as well, because if it did, then you would have the women playing, or some women, the higher caliber women playing overseas. Now, Unrivaled was just started this last season. It seems like it was somewhat of a success. You know, that's the other thing. There's no competitor for the WNBA. In other sports, when they were in these positions, there was sometimes competitors. The NFL had it. The NBA had it. The WNBA doesn't. So something to think about. But they are essentially asking to be paid. No, so okay, that's the line that I think I'm drawing there, Dennis. You are saying exactly what I think most people. And by the way, who wants to dig into the WNBA? Is that a sexy conversation to many? No, so they don't. But if you dig into it, you have this conversation that we're having. But if you don't, that's the opinion right there. But they're essentially saying they want to be paid the same as the NBA. I mean, these two sides are headed for a lockout. And if they lock out, it's going to not only split the game and the fan base, it's going to split the players. I went over the salaries yesterday. Your average salary in the WNBA is $147,000. Almost 148. It's 147,745 for players 2 years or less. $66,079 is the league minimum. Players who have 3 years or more, league minimum $78,831. I don't know what Caitlin Clark makes. I don't know what Angel Reese makes. I don't know what Asia Wilson makes. The stars of the game. I don't know what they make. But when I look at 66,000, I look at 78,000, I look at average salary of 147,000, outside of the women at the very top of the league that are being paid more off the court than on the court, losing your income, if you're already worried about, oh, do I need to go play overseas? Do I need to get a job in the off season? $147,000 is a lot on the surface. But then you have to think about your agent fees. Then you have to think about taxes. When you're a professional athlete, taxes are not straightforward because you have to pay taxes where you are working. So if you're at home for half your games, you're paying that tax rate in that home state. But on the road, you're paying different tax rates by the different states that you go. So you chop that all down, you're probably looking at 110,000, somewhere between 100 and $110,000. That's still a lot of money. You can live on that, but you can't live on that if you're looking at your NBA counterparts and how they live. That's the problem. That's the problem. So basketball related income, it's game day revenues, it's media rights, which by the way, the WNBA signed a new deal last season for their media rights. It's merchandising and licensing, sponsorships, and then some other sources, international broadcasting rights, premium seat licenses, and proceeds from selling BRI rights. So it's kind of the basic things that you think about an owner getting plus the money for the TV contract. What should the percentage be? I don't think 9.3 is fair. I'm okay with the women pushing back on that, but I think you and the owners, by the way, the owners own all the leverage here. The players don't have any leverage. And I think that's why you saw the players come out in those shirts to drum up public support. They'd never been profitable, yet they want more. I don't have a problem with them wanting more. The bigger problem is not the percentage that they want. The bigger problem is, how do we fix this game? How do we become profitable? I said yesterday, they need to humble themselves. They need to start implementing and doing many of the things that AAA ballparks do. That, heck, when you go to a Sacramento Kings game, if you're a season ticket holder, wouldn't you say probably 75% of the games, it's some type of night? It's Hispanic Heritage Night. It's so even the NBA, right? Or there's Star Wars nights. There is so many of them. Even the NBA, who is massively profitable, is still doing that to increase ticket sales. And ticket sales, that is, again, a massive problem. The WNBA has complete blinders on when you're sending out media releases saying that league attendance is growing at a historic rate, 218.9, or excuse me, 318.9% for the Indiana Fever, 68.5% for the Sparks, 16.5% for Mercury, Phoenix, Mercury. Connecticut stands out on that list as well to me. How about Atlanta? Check this out. This is what makes me laugh. You send out a press release. Yeah, even Atlanta, they're up 57.8%. Do you know what that equates to in total attendance? 4,743. And that's the number that's up 68%. Excuse me, 57.8%. So, what's best and worst case scenario to all you? How do you think this shakes out? They want to kill the golden goose in Caitlin Clark, and then the players want their money. Go figure. Rhino, does the NBA pay WNBA staff / players, or is it completely separate where owners need to pay out of the pocket to keep the league afloat? Yeah, no, it's the same structure as the NBA. Now, the balance, the numbers are different. The players basically negotiated, as they said in the NBA during the last CBA. It was pretty much a 50-50 split of the BRI, the basketball related income. I don't know what the BRI was before in the last CBA. I would have to go check that, but you're just not in a spot. This is a long-term investment. And I think that's the other argument that Rob Perez was trying to make. This thing with the WNBA is still in its infancy. Think about the players in football in the 70s that had to work other jobs. Basketball players, same thing, had to work other jobs. The problem is this league is where those leagues were at 50 years ago financially. But the players are of a 2025 mindset. And what's the major argument? I don't need to tell you what the major argument is. How many football players don't have health insurance? Because the current players now, I think they finally got it pushed through, but that was a big thing. Past players that paved the way for guys to be making the money they make now, some of them were not even getting health insurance through their NFL pensions. Unfortunately, Caitlin Clark, it was even worse actually back in the day with your Lisa Leslie's, Kara Larson's, Ruthie Bolton Holyfield's. It was even worse back then. This is, I kind of feel like, maybe this is the question to ask Jerry. Is the WNBA at a, I bet you.
Ooh, that's a great question.
I bet you I'm going to get that because he knows, he's very good friends with Larry Bird. Is the WNBA at the same crossroads the NBA was at when Bird and Magic Johnson came into the league? There's so many similarities there, even from a social standpoint as well. See, Dennis, I got to filter through some of these. But the funny part is nobody knows who they are and they act like royalty. I don't care. You're entitled to act however you want to act. It's your lifestyle. I mean, I can't say that I've been around a WNBA player that acts like royalty. I mean, Caitlin Clark, the money she's making off the court, and I think that's kind of it's kind of like a wrestler's mindset right now. I know we're not doing a wrestling show, but it's that wrestler's mindset where it's just cutthroat. Yeah, we're cool, but I want your spot. He's making more money. I need to get into that spot. Because Caitlin's making a ton of money off the court. Massive. Her newest State Farm sponsorship, where she's got the logo all over her house and everything. It's a lot of money. Not to mention, some franchises are better set to pay people well. Like Indiana. When your attendance goes up 318.9%, and the Fever really aren't that great. And Caitlin has not played great this year. You know what she is on the road shooting the three ball? Anybody want to take a guess what her shooting has been so far shooting the three ball on the road? I want to see if anybody can figure that out without using AI in your computers. It's a staggering number. It's crazy. But the Indiana, the women's team, the Fever, the prices of tickets are more expensive than the Pacers. There's that much demand for it, but you just don't have that demand in other cities. But you will eventually if you do this the right way. I'm sorry, Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry, Asia Wilson. I am sorry to all you that are the faces of the league right now. Unfortunately, this is a growing curve. And this is like the 70s of the NBA, except in 2025. People 20 years from now, if the WNBA is still in existence, will probably be making way more money than you will make, regardless of in your salaries, regardless of whatever you negotiate with the CBA. It sucks, but isn't that the reality? Go out, make your own. Make your own league. Unrivaled did it in the offseason. They were able to secure a national, not national TV, but a cable television deal for their league. Helicopter, 40%, 30%, 27%. She is shooting 2 for 35 on the road this year. 2 for 35 from beyond the arc. That's staggering. No wrestling segment today. No. We got Jerry Reynolds coming up in about 13 minutes. Fans hopping in on the conversation. The reality is the players are on track to get raises anyway after the rise in popularity with Caitlin Clark plus TV deals. To my knowledge, they haven't been kept down or underpaid, so to speak. No, you're probably right. They're making more than any WNBA players have probably made in the past. You're right. Salaries are going to keep going up. They're just not going up at the rate that they're seeing them go up on the NBA side. And even to a degree, you're seeing in the NBA a little bit of a step back. You're seeing guys that would traditionally be Supermax guys not getting the Supermax. I was talking to somebody about De'Aaron Fox and his situation in San Antonio, about whether or not he's going to get extended. And they basically said it's completely up to De'Aaron Fox. He's going to have to take a lower number to be a part of that team. And if he's not willing to take a lower number, they're going to trade him, in that person's opinion. A significantly lower number than what he turned down here in Sacramento. SGA, Supermax, all day. Jokic, Supermax, all day. But I just don't think you're going to see as many. Luka, Dallas didn't want to give him the Supermax. And it's because of the CBA. Between Devin, Carter, Summer League. Tristan, you good, brother? Did you hit your head? You good, Tristan? Come on, Tristan. Let's go.
Tristan, pay attention. Pay attention.
Yeah, come on, Tristan.
Come on, come on.
Yes, definitely. Ouch. All right, we got Jerry coming up. Now's probably about a good time. If you got questions for Jerry, put them in the chat. We can talk as much Summer League as you want. You can talk about Doug McDermott being signed. Did you like the timing of that? Did you not like the timing of that? That's what your Kings payroll looks like right now as of today. Let's make sure that Dougie Mac is on there. Maybe it's not exact. I don't see Dougie Mac on there yet, so that's not updated. But is somebody like Dario Saric going to still be on this roster? I don't think so. I would see them trying to get rid of him. Drew Eubanks, Terrence Davis. Terrence Davis had not played an NBA game since the playoffs of the Beam team, round 1, Lakers series, game 7. That was the last NBA game he played before the Kings signed him. He's on a guaranteed deal. Well, let's see, red, team option. Interesting. Peter Anderson, when does that option need to be picked up? Did they already pick it up? Why do I feel like they did? Max, Fair, your two ways right now, Isaiah Stevens, Dylan Cardwell. The Kings have made a qualifying offer to Isaiah Crawford as that third G League two-way guy. Other teams have the ability to match that. Just to give you an idea too about the hostility that's going around in the G League. I played this a couple times. I'll play it again. This was Shaq last week.
Oh, speaking of man, RG3, tweet another monkey post about my girl Angel Reese. I'm punching your face, okay? It's enough. Like, I don't usually do stuff like this, but just stop it, bro. You got your job, you got your podcast, leave my Angel Reese alone. I'm the one calling her and telling her not to respond. Stop it. That's the last time, okay? Thank you. It's not real hate. If you look around what's going on in this real country, that's hate. This is sports. I'm not supposed to like you. It's a shame that all the stuff you did in your life, you're going to be remembered for your podcast. You're going to be remembered for your podcast. That should tell you you're not that great. I don't want to be remembered for Shaq's Bit podcast. I do not. Like, leave those girls alone. You already spoke on it. Let it go. So what? He hates us. So what? I hate you now. We're messing with her. Now what? Say something about me. But she's not going to respond because I'm the one calling and be like, baby, keep it classy. Because she's not soft by any means. You're from the streets. But I'm like, you're beautiful. Don't indulge with these fools because he's a fool. You don't even have G14 classification to say that. I would respect it more if Lisa Leslie said it. Like, that's your category. Stay out of them people's category. Okay, you're sports, whatever you do, you talk about sports, but bro, you don't need to be going deep. Y'all can go deep. Y'all are females. Y'all understand what that's like. If he hates her, so what? Mind your business. Like, I don't mind you doing your job as anyone, but don't pick on that little girl. Because guess what? I'm her protector. Now pick on me. You pick on me, I'm punching your face.
Anybody want to pick on Shaq? I don't. Sacramento. I gotta say, that was one of the, although it's kind of sad that that's happening publicly, that was one of the best rants I've ever heard since a certain president made a rant on Rosie O'Donnell a long time ago. That was a pretty crazy rant. If you're just joining us, Jerry Reynolds will be here in about 7 minutes. Neat Clifford. Oh, nobody guessed the names, or I missed it. Neat Clifford named first team Summer League. Isaac Jones, named second team Summer League. He is the 4th Sacramento King to be named on the first team Summer League. The other 3, Keegan Murray, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jason Williams. Some pretty elite company, if you ask me. You know what Tyrese should do? If I'm Tyrese, I get that memo from the NBA, probably finish my workout, take a shower, and I am hightailing it to Bennett's to go get that prime New York steak. Brian will have the biggest, nicest one, marbled one, picked out for him. Finish it off with some of the Brussels sprouts. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to think about it now. Bennett's Restaurants here in Sacramento, prime cuts of seafood and steak, 3 locations in the greater Sacramento area. Got Roseville, Rockland, Howe, and Fair Oaks, all of them cooking up the same amazing food at not a wallet-breaking price. Like, wouldn't even break George Costanza's wallet. I'm telling you. And that thing's ready to pop. But you can get any of their tremendous deals that run each and every week, like prime rib on the weekends, bubbles, and brunch, all 3 locations. You get 2 entrees and a bottle of champagne. So if the wifey or the husband likes the mimosas, go hit up Bennett's. 2 entrees, full bottle of champagne, $45.99. You've got happy hour 2 to 6 o'clock every single day. And Brian and the team just rolled out the Taste of Summer menu. It's a 2-course, $30 menu. There's some awesome new dishes inspired by some of the best ingredients Brian has seen this summer. You can add on a dessert for $5. Go check them out. I'm telling you, Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can make reservations there. You can put in your orders now. You want to pick up a nice steak after the show? He'll have it ready for you. Margot at Howe and Fair Oaks, the rest of the team will get you set up. Again, go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Also, tell them that you heard about them on the show. Let us know when you go in as well. We will pass along your experience to Brian. You all know the standing offer when it comes to Bennett's. Don't mess with karma. I will honor my offer, but do not mess with karma, especially with food. Have you seen the movie Waiting? I'm just saying. So Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Go check them out. Jerry Reynolds joining us here in about 4 minutes. We'll talk the WNBA a little bit. I do want to cross that bridge with him. But then we will also talk about the Kings, what he saw throughout Summer League, what he liked, what he did not like. We can talk about Devin Carter. Has anything changed with Devin's role after what you saw in Vegas? So get those questions in there. We will mix in as many as we can. Shaq donate to the WNBA. Yeah. Good job here by Peter Anderson. Good job here. He's going to probably get waived. So you can take Terrence Davis off that list. I'm bringing Mason Jones to training camp on a non-guaranteed deal before I'm having Terrence Davis in training camp. Oh, it's so good, Chad. You're right. It is a classic. The GOAT. Oh, the GOAT. Oh, the pain. And then the way it ends. So good. Great movie. Question for Jerry. All right. Well, okay. Okay, Tristan, you're warming up to Jerry now. After the mouthful of wrestling that you made me read off last week. Thank goodness Adam is not here. Holy crap. Where are the dogs at?
Bunch of dogs.
How many dogs are listening and not commenting? We have like 9 different dogs in the King's Court. I haven't seen any of you lately. What's up? Chat. I can't even, dude. I can't put that up. But yes, classic movie for its time. It was perfect for its time. And I have bartended before. I have worked at a restaurant, and it's not the drama 100% spot on. But at least the place I worked at, even like the worst of worst people, nobody ever thought about messing with food. I mean, probably the most famous example of allegedly messing with food, the Kobe burger before game 2. That was quite the surprise. Yeah. Anyways, those dogs were neutered that day. There you go, Dennis. So, all right, it's that time. It's our favorite day of the week. We've got so much to discuss with the Kings. We've got a ton to discuss in terms of the WNBA acquisitions. Nick Clifford. We have not talked to Jerry since last week. And by the way, Jerry and I, we both had the Kings winning Summer League. They should have been there. They should have been there, and they were. So you give them some credit for that. It is time for Jerry Reynolds Tuesday.
It's Jerry Reynolds Tuesday, let the good times roll. King's legend in the house, he's got the game on a scroll. With endless coaching wisdom and stories to share. When he talks shit, birds, and Kings basketball, you better be there. Jerry Reynolds Tuesday's the place to be. Basketball magic, it's a sight to see. Chicken and dumplings on his plate. With a side of laughter, it's a perfect fate.
Partner, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, you know. Well, of course, even if I wasn't, just listen to that gets me perked up a little bit, you know, and I need some perking now and then.
Well, I like the purple shirt too.
Yeah, well, bringing the purple out, you know. It's, you know, kind of kind of an honor. The summer league team almost won the championship. Really, as you pointed out, really probably should have. I thought with Charlotte having a couple of their key guys kind of out for the game, but anyway, yeah, a lot of positives.
Jerry, the one thing the Kings could not do was allow Charlotte to get out to a quick start. They were coming off their two best summer league games of the couple weeks, 29 and 25-point victories over two teams that were or would have been in the playoffs. And what happens? Quick start for Charlotte.
Yeah, it was a thing. And really, Charlotte kind of had control of the game. I thought, certainly Kings had a chance to win down the stretch, but it was a case of catch-ups the whole game. And, I thought Charlotte was defensively, that was probably the worst game that the Kings played. That first half, they really just didn't stop Charlotte at all.
Yeah, but we'll talk about Neek separately, but who really kind of took a step forward in Summer League that needed to take a step forward in your eyes?
Well, I think Isaac Jones was terrific. I mean, I honestly think he was the Kings' most valuable player. And, I just think the Kings have got to figure out a way to get him on the floor more. The guy, the guy's finding ways to be productive and doesn't need the ball to be productive on a team, especially when on the varsity, you got a bunch of guys who need the ball to do anything. And he's a guy who can get a lot of stuff done without it. So I just think Isaac Jones is a little bit like different position, but a lot like Keon Ellis. One of those guys that Monty McNair, to his credit, they found and is way better than a lot of draft picks.
I've been very complimentary of the Kings scouting because it starts so much earlier now. By the way, it's like youth basketball, and you know that. But the scouting, the development, the consistency that Stockton program gives the players in getting them ready, not to star, but to play a role with the Kings team. Would you say they're a top 5 team right now in scouting, advanced, and player development?
I think you got to put them in the top, top of the list somewhere, and I don't think the G League team, the Stockton Kings, get enough credit. It's almost like the Summer League team gets more credit than does the G League team when they won a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Have been near the top, with several different coaches, whether it's been Bobby Jackson, Lindsey Harding, or, so it seems like, and the name escapes me now, and I'm as bad as anyone else. I can't remember the coach from Stockton last year. And
Quentin Crawford.
Yeah, Quentin, excuse me. Yeah, and basically had a great year, and they do a marvelous job. And I think here again, Keon Ellis and of course Isaac Jones is a Monty McNair snare, and I think the thing I like about Isaac, he's a late developer. And I always say, one of those guys didn't start playing basketball till late, grew late. There's so many examples of that through the years, the Tim Duncans, Akeem Olajuwon, Scottie Pippens, guys that grew late. And, actually, Larry Bird was the same thing, a real late developer. And those guys, it always seems to me like the odds of them getting better are really high. Because they started late and they don't burn out of the game near as much.
Sure.
And you see that with Isaac, his motor is just terrific. I don't know, he's right there with Sabonis as far as just playing every play. And you really can't say that about very many big guys in the league.
That's a hell of a compliment to be mentioned in the same breath as Sabonis in terms of a motor and toughness. He got popped right in the nose, first possession of the game, Jared.
Yeah, he just plays. And the other thing, he's deceptively big, is what I say. They list him at 6'9", but if you look at him, his shoulders, if you get next to a 6'10" or 6'11" guy, his shoulders about the same. I'm not trying to dump on it, but he's got a short neck, but he's got, you don't rebound top of your head, and he's got really long arms, and he basically is like a 6'11" guy. And I really think the Kings have got something there. I just hope they can figure out how to get him on the floor. And I personally think there's a lot of ways you could do that.
So my favorite thing about Isaac this summer, besides all of the things that you mentioned, was they're trying to get him to move towards that 4 position. They're trying to incorporate a 3 ball into his game. And Jerry, he had the nads to take the shot with the game on the line after airballing countless threes throughout summer league. That was a huge thing to me. I look at Isaac Jones, and I don't want to put this comp on him, but in a dream scenario, aren't you trying to push him to like a Sean Marion type of player?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think he, he's bigger and stronger than Sean. I mean, I think really he could defend as he has last year, but I mean, he can defend the most centers. There's some, obviously, the Jokic's of the world and a healthy MBG can't, but nobody can.
You're right.
But I think he could really be a help there to Domas, and where Domas certainly can guard most 4s and keep Domas out of foul trouble. And then offensively, like I say, I mean, he really does need to play more 4 to get a lot of minutes, and that requires, it doesn't necessarily have to be a knockdown 3-point shooter, but he's got to be able to hit that 18, 20 footer because he's going to get open shots. And so just make a nice percentage of them. And if he does that, it's a little bit like people probably forgot, but Aaron Gordon couldn't shoot the ball very well 3 years ago.
Great point.
But, he was a lively, active. Of course, he's a more talented overall guy and high draft. But the point being is he learned to shoot in the last 2 years. Now he's a terrific shooter and a perfect fit at the 4 spot. And so shooting can be one thing with Isaac. I mean, his touch at the free throw line looks pretty good.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's usually if you've got a nice stroke at the free throw line, you can just get more leg into your shot and stretch it out deeper, as you know. And so we'll see. But I'm more than cautiously optimistic about him. I'm just really optimistic because I think anybody that's as legitimately tough as he is and the motor that he has, probably this team needs to find a way, and especially the fact that he can get you double-double, and you don't have to run a play for him.
Amen. Great analysis by Jerry on Isaac Jones. Last year when he got thrown into some of the games, his athleticism shined, and that was a raw product still. So a lot of good stuff there. Let's talk about the other guys. Peter wants to know about Neek, Mason, and of course, Devin Carter. What were your thoughts? Or Max as well. What were your thoughts on them?
Well, I thought Neek was terrific. He got a little foul trouble last couple of games, but I mean, his ability, he just plays effortlessly, I guess is what he's really got a smoothness about him. I was on radio the other day talking to some guys, and I just thought, I said, there are different positions, how they play and size, but it reminds me a lot of Hedo Turkoglu as a rookie in Summer League, because the thing that Hedo could do that Neek does, he could get places on the floor, didn't look like he was forcing anything, could make passes, make shots, I mean, just like with Neek, I don't know how else to put it, just like you watch Neek 10 minutes, you say, boy, that guy's a good player.
Yeah.
The game, he's got the game to make it work. And he, of course, Hedo was that way. And I always, of course, remember so much because we were concerned, when we drafted him, is like, well, will he be able to get minutes on a really good team? And after the Summer League said, yeah, he's going to be able to get minutes. He's too good not to play. And I think Neek is that way too, that he's too skilled not to find minutes. I don't know just exactly where, but I think you got to get him on the court.
I agree with you. And we've said, and we've used this analogy on this show, the Kings have a lot of main dishes, right? You've got the big steak over there. You've got a meatloaf over there. You got a sushi roll over there. But you don't have the mashed potatoes. You don't have the green beans. You don't, John Finch, have the asparagus. And maybe Neek will play himself into a main ingredient, but he's a perfect side dish for this team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his versatility. I mean, you can see he could probably play some at point. And certainly at two is his best position, where you've got 18,000 two guards. That's an issue. He's undersized for a small forward, but I do think he could play some there, because a lot of teams go small, and they'll go three guards basically.
Mhm.
So, he's 6'5", he could guard guys up to 6'7", I think, most of them. So I think that's how you get him minutes. It's because he can play three spots, and he can defend three spots. So you really don't have the length at three and the backups that you have at three. So I think he's almost right now, unless something happens, you just got to figure out a way to get him minutes there too.
I agree. Did you think the timing of Doug McDermott's signing was a little curious?
Yes, I did. I like Doug, and he's had a nice career, and he's a shooter, kind of a spot shooter kind of guy you bring in. But honestly, I just kind of thought for this team, after all the talk of we're going to build around defense and this, that, and the other, and change the culture and going to play hard, hard-nosed defense. And that's not Doug, never has been.
Yeah.
I mean, and, like, credit to Doug. I mean, his ability would fit, say, much better with somewhere like Minnesota, or somewhere that's really a contending team that's just looking for a guy to come in and maybe make some spot shots now and then. But yeah, so I was a little surprised with that. It sounds like I'm against him, but I just don't see how it makes a lot of sense for this team right now. That's me, especially with the young guys you're trying to find time for.
Yeah, Doug Christie enjoyed using him as that, fire alarm. If we are just can't throw a P in the Pacific, or the pace is off, he tried to bring him in. And to Doug's credit, he was ready to shoot the three ball. Sometimes they went in, sometimes they went out. But to your bigger point about the defensive identity, it's going to lead me to my question about Devin. Last week, we talked about the opportunity for this team to be a defensive team was out the window when Jake LaRavia left. And so that is where I kind of see, although Devin's strengths are on defense, he's being judged, in many people's opinion, at the point guard position. So how did you evaluate Devin just strictly as a point guard in the summer league?
Actually, I was pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
I guess, for me, he certainly had a really outstanding second game. But overall, I guess I just didn't see a fluidity to his game, where he could get past people off the dribble. His handle is, I was telling somebody today, I said, you're not going to compare his handle to Jason Williams anytime soon, are you? Mm-hmm. and I mean, and so that bothered me, that he really struggled getting past people. And, you notice the Simpkins kid for Charlotte was able to do that, and he's a backup guy at best. But I mean, he had the quickness, and Schroeder does. So, but yeah, I guess in a nutshell, I was disappointed. I kind of think he's at best, honestly, early returns as a combo guard, of which, so is Neek, so is his Keon. You got a whole bunch of like that, and yeah, I don't. I kind of think Neek Clifford has really got a little more point skills going forward, than Carter. And so that's kind of the way I would see it. If you're going to kind of go forward with somebody, as a backup or limited minutes there at point, I'd almost like to see Clifford at it.
Yep, I'm with you. And as a scorer, Devin's just a little bit too inconsistent. When he's on, but when he's off, he hasn't been able to get going, Jerry. So it puts his spot on the roster, at least very minimum, his playing time, in a precarious situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, he does. I agree. I mean, he kind of looks like the odd man out of the guards. Yeah. I mean, a little bit. And I mean, and there's no doubt he plays hard. You got to admire that. He's tough-minded defender. But the game looks harder for him. And then the second thing and the last thing, I'm just not sure he's healthy. He keeps rubbing that shoulder. And I mean, I know enough about shoulder injuries. I always remember Bobby Hurley when he had his serious. Of course, he had 18 different serious injuries, but
Right.
but the shoulder, the left shoulder, that had to be repaired, and the muscles had to be shortened and reattached, and he had no left hand after that. You know, I mean, he just could never use his left hand. When in college, he had a great left hand, and so and you notice with, and I don't know if it had anything to do with it, but I just thought off his right hand dribbles, he lost it a few times.
Well, he's had surgery on that side too.
On that side, that's
the
one he was kind of rubbing periodically, and that's what I was watching. I kept thinking, there's something just not quite right. He'd always kind of be rubbing that shoulder a little bit. So, and we all know, when you're not quite right physically, it affects anybody that's ever played sports knows it affects you a little bit. Now, I don't know, what the issue there is, or maybe it's just a habit or hasn't healed properly. But I thought, for whatever reason, his game really didn't translate like I was hoping it would.
To double down on your point, after the first game, I understand the process of doing interviews in summer league is much different than after an NBA game, because you're getting dressed at the hotel and then you're going overdressed. So he had an ice pack on his shoulder after the first game, which is all fine and good, but he opened the floor to the media to talk about his shoulder. He's saying it's not right. He injured it the day before in a scrimmage. And I just found it is really odd, Jerry, even in the summer league, for a second-year guy that was around the team even when he's hurt, to just put that out in that form the way he did.
Yeah, probably would say that probably the team wish he hadn't. I mean, he's being honest. I mean, but it's one of those things that if in fact it's bothering you that much, probably shouldn't play. That sort of thing too.
But are you saying that after you shoot 10 for 13? Because that game he shot 3 for 13.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point here. It's like then the second game he comes back and then he shooting the heck out of it, played terrific. Yeah. And so, okay, now which is it? Your shoulder is really bothering you, or it isn't?
Yep. Spot on. All right, we need to preference this, or we need to preface this question, because we never know what we're going to get from this guy.
Tristan, come on.
I think Tristan came.
Oh, is this Tristan?
Yeah, I think he came prepared.
Okay.
Scheffler made it look easy on Sunday. Do you think golf needs a Scheffler versus Rory/Rahm rivalry like Magic and Bird to make it feel more exciting to the casual fan?
Well, of course, I'm a big fan of both Scheffler and Rory. My third favorite is Justin Thomas, who, is probably has dropped off a bit. But it's a great question, and I really see Scheffler, and probably for golf, they're really hoping for another Tiger Woods, a totally dominant player. Which really, I don't know that you have to have a rivalry. Tiger really never did. Phil Mickelson's obviously one of the all-time greats, but consistently he couldn't do what Tiger did. It's kind of like with Jack Nicklaus, Palmer, Tom Watson. He had marvelous players, but nobody could succeed on a consistent basis like he did. And I think that's what we're starting to see with Scotty, and I think it's going to be good for the game, because it draws a lot of fans in who aren't really consistent golf fans, just to see this special guy, just like Nicklaus did, Tiger did. They brought a lot of extra eyes to the sport, and then on the other point, and I mean, Scotty, there's just nothing not to like about the guy. Besides being a great player, it just seems like as humble, nice a person as you could find, and a lot of the golfers on tour would probably like to not like him, but because it's so good.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a good question though. But I think it's an individual sport. So if you've got just a dominant one player, which is hard to do in golf, you haven't had, like I say, other than Nicklaus and Tiger. I mean, for any that's been totally dominant for a lot of years, you really haven't had many guys. You've had some others have a couple of years where they're great, but not 10 or 12.
Yeah, and Scotty should, if everything works out, be around to possibly play against another Woods. So we'll see how all that works out coming up.
Yeah,
in the
well,
next-
that's a lot of pressure put on Charlie Woods. I'll say that.
that pressure's already there.
That's kind of like Bronny James. It's like how do you, somewhere you just got to create your own reality and be the best you can be.
Yep, 100% with you. And I thought, by the way, Bronny, I liked how his body developed, and I thought he did a good job of separating himself a little bit this year.
I agree. I thought he looked like, I think that most of us thought he would before his college career, which sadly wasn't a fair test for him due to his heart problems and all. And so then last year, so yeah, I think Bronny can carve out a career, maybe as a third guard, a rotational kind of player, but I could see that happening.
Spot on. Scheffler, just going back really quick, I think him getting arrested in the fashion that he did and the way that played out introduced him to a whole nother set of people that maybe came into golf, and that really helped his star to take that step.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's one of those ridiculous kind of things that he handled as well as you could possibly handle it. It is something to be the number one golfer in the world going to a golf tournament, and people there had no idea who the number one golfer in the world was. If you went back to Tiger's days or Jack's day, that couldn't have happened.
No.
And I suspect going forward, that would not be possible.
Exactly right. Chad, wondering if there will be, or would you like a Jerry Reynolds statue outside the G1C?
No, I'm thinking more of a pyramid. What do you think? just like a full-fledged pyramid.
Couldn't look worse than Dwayne Wade's. It'd be much better.
No, I don't need a statue. I'm afraid that in years to come, but not just the pigeons, but there'd be a lot of people might want to deface it, so to speak. And then, of course, the scariest part is what would it look like?
Yes.
Like you say, the Dwayne Wade thing comes to mind. It's like looks nothing like him. That was one of the things I think with the statues with the Lakers. They're really very good. You kind of, I'm pretty sure those things aren't easy to make, but they really, you knew who they were before you read the thing. That type thing.
I think the Gigi and Kobe statue is the most beautiful one I've ever seen. It's different, and it's a little piece of heaven on earth.
Yeah, really. It really was the right thing to do. It's one of those things where a lot of times PR people don't get it right, but they sure got that one right.
Knocked it out of the park. Jerry Peters asking about Devin Carter's option for 26-27 is up on Halloween 10/31. Right now, are you picking it up, or are you looking to do something else?
That's a great question. I hadn't really thought about that, but I think they'll probably pick it up. Just even if they're not convinced he can be the player they expect him to be, and that may be questionable, but I still think there may be value. And you're talking about a low number salary wise. So I think it'd be a mistake. I'd hate to see him do something kind of rational like they did with Davion and lose a good player too soon, or get nothing of value for a player that clearly has value now. So I'd say patience is probably called for here, and another, because he still hadn't played much, and that was his first summer league, so he's a rookie at summer league too. But and then you don't know what kind of deals might be made, or where he could fit into a deal. So
I think he is the perfect topping on a deal. especially if it's to a team. I think Devin, because of what he does defensively, he could carve out 8 or 9 minutes for any team in the NBA. If you're looking at him just from a defensive standpoint, Jer.
Yeah, his father, I mean, is a good example of that. I mean, he carved out a really nice career by being just a terrific defender, brought it every night. And some teams he could start or play a lot of minutes, others, but for the most part, he was a rotational player that got, consistent minutes. And I don't see any reason why a Carter can't get to that level and would have maybe more value to some other team that doesn't have as many guards.
Yes.
So we're in guard heaven here. We only got. I was gonna say, I just hope they don't sign any more 2 guards. That's all I know.
If they do, I think my head's just gonna.
I was gonna say mine might explode. I might put away all my purple shirts. I'll tell you that if they do that.
Yeah, you're gonna put on your Royale costume.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. If they're going to trade somebody for Desmond Bain or something, I mean, I can adjust. Don't get me wrong. a couple of 2 guards that we have for someone like that, yeah, we can adjust. We're very adjustable.
We're not throwing the purple shirt away. We're just putting it away.
Yeah, we'll just hold on to it for a while.
What was your first thought when you saw that Dame was going back to Portland?
I think I see it. It's nice for Dame to return home type thing. Obviously an all-time legendary player. I just don't think it makes sense for him. They've invested quite a bit of money in him, and he's 36, coming off Achilles after blood clot, missing the last 2 years. I mean, he really hadn't been Dame Lillard in Milwaukee. If you really get down to it, I mean, he's been very good, but not super great like he was in Portland. Yeah. And I guess my feeling is like, and he's not going to play next year. So now all of a sudden he's a year older coming off Achilles, and you drafted Scoot Henderson second. And now whether Scoot's ever going to be that caliber or not, I don't know, but he was getting better. And so I guess in a nutshell, I think they're a young team. In my mind, that was probably a mistake. That if they want to, he should have a statue in Portland. I'll give him that. Bring him back, retire his number, whatever you want to do. But I just don't see the positives of a 3-year contract for a guy that's 36 years old coming off Achilles, and when he probably cannot play at the level that the fans remember him.
Let me play devil's advocate. You get Dame around the young guards. You get him around that locker room. You're going to have a little bit of more passion in that building because of Dame. What if he takes a reduced role and comes off the bench as a 6th man?
Well, I think that's if he does. I think that is what the hope would be. A reduced role would be a mentor. Yep. And certainly he's a class act, always has been. But it's tough, I think, for a lot of guys as superstars to be, reserves all of a sudden. I mean, it's and maybe he'll be going to Portland where his family is, and actually, I think that makes it a little tougher.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you think of this is Dame Lillard, Portland Trail all-time great, and coming back, it as opposed to say, going to Memphis in the same role, might be easier for him to accept an off the bench kind of thing. I've put it to you another way. Russell Westbrook going back to Oklahoma City. Would he? I mean, he's accepted coming off the bench roles very well with a couple other teams, but I think it'd be tougher for him to do exactly the same thing there.
It would be tougher for him to do it, but he would be doing it. He ain't cracking that starting 5.
No, he ain't cracking it. And then, he'd play his butt off. That.
Yes,
But anyway, that's my thoughts. We'll see. Time will tell. And I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it works beautifully for Dame and the Blazers. But I think if I was they got a young team on the build, and I'm just not sure that's that's the right direction.
Fair enough. BJ has the question. What do you think about Reynolds and his time this summer?
I liked him a lot. I thought there in the first 6-8 minutes of summer league, I thought we'd got Dirk Nowitzki. It's like,
oh my gosh, you didn't just say that. Oh, you didn't say that. Okay,
I did. Of course, actually, his overall summer league for rookie was probably as good as Nowitzki's was. See, I'm old enough to remember Nowitzki as a rookie. He did not have a great rookie year. We know he got great,
yeah,
and it is a consistent pattern. But like I'll say, I can remember a lot of guys that didn't show signs of greatness early. But this is, I guess my point would be, yeah, he was terrific. I mean, he's like, wow, making shots inside, outside, making plays, playing off the dribble. He did it all in about 6-8 minute stretch, and then kind of that rest of the game kind of blended in. And but he was good. I mean, I don't think there were 20 rookies that you'd say were better.
No.
In the whole thing. I mean, certainly, Neek would have probably been among the top 5. And I think that I think certainly he'd been a top 20 guy there of rookies,
Yep, I'm with you.
I like his skill, his running ability. He runs easily. He probably got better leg speed than I thought. Plays off the dribble better. He's just not strong enough right now.
I think he is a perfect candidate to put on that Keegan Murray program where Keegan went that 3-year transition, and we don't even know what his body looks like right now. It might have changed before we get to training camp.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you don't have to think too hard or visualize too much to think, there's a little bit of Laurie Market in there. When you, like I say, I remember Laurie as a rookie, and it took him a while to really catch on. And of course, now he's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But 6'11" guy that can play off the dribble and make shots, and you can see where he and Domas, maybe not next year, but within a reasonable time frame, that might be a nice, really a nice fit. So yeah. That's a good pick. I mean, terrific pick. I mean, he really should have been a first-round pick. I think his talent, he showed enough talent, I thought, to say, yeah, this guy's a first-round talent.
Wow. So one of our viewers called into Grant's show on, I believe it was last Tuesday, saying the exact same thing that you said, and this is what went down.
Grant! Dennis, stop for a minute. I didn't say anything bad about you, Dennis.
I love you, Grant.
They were screaming at each other. No surprise.
I just am amazed that Grant would yell at anybody.
I know, right?
I've never heard that.
So out of character. Super out of character.
Yeah, he's such a little teddy bear,
Well, I mean, he is off the court.
Yeah.
You know
that? No, Grant's Grant. He's a one of one, and
that's so true.
He's like a great competitive athlete. When the lights go on, the ball goes up. Grant brings it.
Yes, he does.
100%.
He even brings it at the dinner or the lunch table. He's done with his plate before you and I are like halfway.
Oh
through.
Yeah, everything's full speed ahead.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Going. So love us some Napes. All right. So all this WNBA controversy going on about the players opting out of the CBA, wearing the shirts that they did at the All-Star game. You are uniquely qualified because you've put together a championship, a WNBA championship team. And I guess I would just like to get your opinion on how you think this plays out and what the right answer to the problem is.
Well, it was, I thought, very tacky on the players' part. I don't think it served their purpose at all. I mean, I think they've got a good negotiating position for the first time in the history of the league, really, because I think with the new TV deal actually coming into where the league itself that is making money, not just an offshoot of the NBA giving them time, which was really the way it's been. And so they were in a great position. They are in a great position. And I just think they got, just handled it about as badly as you can.
Yeah.
Because pay us what you owe us. Well, nobody feels like, it's not been a profitable league. And I think it's got a chance to be a profitable league. And of course, if it is a profitable league, the players will benefit and they'll share in the profit. I mean, they should be, quite honestly, I would say you should be pretty thankful that you've been paid what you've been paid when the league itself has never made money. And so a lot of times I don't think the players themselves understand that completely. And being the way I am, I would have pointed that out. I would have said, yeah, I'm for you getting more money. And I think the league, like I say, I think going forward, I think they've got a chance to really upgrade the salaries and things because the values of the franchises are going up, high percentage based on Caitlin Clark bringing eyes and interest to the league. And here again, I think the league itself has handled that as poorly as they could.
Amen.
It's like, geez, that'd be like David Stern not really wanting to give Magic and Bird credit for being really good and league change. Of course, it was just the opposite. He basically decided he was going to build the league around those kind of players and rivalries and the star power that they had, and of course saved the league really. And I mean, because the league at that time, really, the NBA was not must-see TV. It was, as you may be old enough to remember, it was on replay.
Delay.
Yeah, stuff like that, and maybe one game a week on Sundays or something. And but Stern, like I say, Stern was a great commissioner, which I don't think anybody had ever accused Kathy Engelbert of being a great commissioner. I really do think she's handled it very poorly. I'm not a fan of Silver either, but I think he looks good in comparison.
Yeah, first off, I think David Stern would be rolling over in his grave because this was his baby.
It'd be some heads rolled if he was around, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the second thing that I was going to ask you, and you actually kind of laid it out. I said it at the start of the show. Does it feel like the WNBA right now, from a sense of the temperature with the way things are being handled in the media, socially, is back at that same crossroads that the NBA was at when Bird and Magic were drafted, like on the verge, not profitable, and now you've got a African-American star and a white star? Feels very similar.
Well, the only thing is that I don't, honestly, that'd be like saying Angel Reese is in comparison to the Magic Bird thing, and I can't get there with that.
Yeah,
she's a very good player in a star level, but just doesn't. I mean, she's not a must-watch player. I mean, and so that's kind of like, in my mind, it'd be like saying Ben Wallace and Steve Nash rivalry.
Fair.
I mean, it's like no, I can't go there. But they do have some really gifted players in the league now. That's much more talented than when I was involved, and they've got a lot of players they can spotlight. The Kelsey Plums, Breanna Stewart, and I mean, so I like the talent in the league. I'm not sure I'm as enthused about expanding as quickly as they talking about, because the talent level really is pretty solid the way it is. And I mean, you might be thinning it out too much, but there's big decisions, and like I say, they've got to come to grips mainly of getting, really the officiating is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with it, try to get better officials. Don't be worrying about DEI hires or something like that. Get the best you can get, and like I say, the players deserve the best officiating, and then the commissioner needs to kind of have a little come to Jesus talk with the group, and really the Players Association. Say, look, you've handled this as badly as you can. It's time to change direction here. it'll work out way better for you if you do.
Is it a mistake to have NBA attached to the W as the title of that league?
I think it is now. It was a case where it just had to be that way, early on, or they would have the league would have never got started if it hadn't been for David Stern and the NBA, and they really kind of the teams that got involved and the early part they made certain things happen and to their credit and stayed with it and was willing to invest money in it and lose money, as it were, for a lot of years. But today, I think with the kind of the value of the franchises going up, really what's called for is basically get there's a lot of rich people in the world, and especially rich women should be buying these franchises. You don't need you need more female ownership, and that's on them. I mean, I always look at the Forbes 400 list of the richest people in America, and there's probably 150 females that are well into the billions, and it's like, well, this is your league, and I think the women have got to support it better, and you need more ownership, just more ownership, and not associate the NBA, so they become their own true league.
It's an excellent point, Jerry. I don't think there's any doubt that when you look at the net basketball revenue that they're getting, or the basketball revenue index, whatever it is, I'm saying it wrong right now, it's 9.3% compared to the 50% that the NBA guys have. But as you laid out, the way that the league continues to lose money, I get moving to chartered flights. That should be in place, 100%. You lose $50 million last year, 25 million comes from that. But where else do you think the holes are in the cheese? Where is the money going? Are they overspending? Are they spending in the wrong places?
I don't think they are. I mean, really, the problem has been that, in all honesty, for a business losing money, they've lost it because of, quite honestly, player salaries. So and that's the reason they still are. I mean, the players themselves would say we're worth a lot more. Well, you probably are, and yet you're not.
Right.
In other words, it's like if you're running a restaurant and you certainly the servers would like to make $40 an hour, and you would like for them to make $40 an hour. But if you had to pay them $40 an hour, you probably would lose money.
That's right.
And they would still want to make $40 an hour,
Yep.
and we all understand that. So I think it's and I think people get confused on the percentages. The reason the players get basically 50% is because it's profitable. That's the profit.
Bingo.
You're sharing profit. If me and you start a business and we make $1 million, we both get $500,000 if it's a profit. Now, if we start a business and we lost $1 million, and you said, well, I need a salary, and I give you 100,000, well, that's 10% of a losing
Of your loss, yeah.
Of a loss, yeah. So there's a little bit of that, but like I say, I think all of that is in a process. They're just getting ahead of themselves, because I think the new TV deal can probably generate a couple $100 million that wasn't there. And then the value of the franchises, really helps, and certainly the interest. The TV ratings are better, the attendance is better. Now, a lot of that, like I said, it's Caitlin Clark driven. There's no doubt about that. And I just, like I say, hope it'd be like we're talking about golf, is all of a sudden the PGA deciding that Scotty Scheffler shouldn't be getting so much attention.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think the WNBA, the marketing partially is where they're going wrong. They're trying to paint this picture like everything's perfect. One of the teams, their attendance is up 49%, but it's still only 6,542. I said, you've got to humble yourself. Sell a ticket for $1. Then you're going to have $20 of parking, a hot dog.
Yeah,
popcorn.
get people in the building. So that's the main thing, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is last year is the first year I can recall where there were a lot of sellouts, and you know, it's all related. But I always say the thing that we're just an analogy to me would be like if Stern handled this like the WNBA has. In other words, instead of having Magic as the big star, he'd have said, "No, we're going to focus on Kareem." Who really doesn't have a lot of personality. Great player, but he'd been in the league a long time and wasn't somebody that everybody wanted to see, and all the time. But Magic had that special quality about him, and then of course Bird, you know, with the Boston thing and just the career he had at Indiana State, taking a mid-major to an unbeaten season, the championship game, and they had the greatest ratings of any college game ever. And Stern was smart. He said, "Damn, these guys brought the highest ratings. Their rating was 10 times higher than anything we've ever had in the NBA.
Yeah.
Maybe we ought to focus on these guys."
Amen.
And now you look at the WNBA, it's like, yes, the women's game had the highest ratings in the history of the game when Iowa played, and but let's not make a big deal out of her.
Yeah, let's not do that. Let's not capitalize on our stars like baseball sometimes doesn't do. You know, if this whole basketball thing doesn't work out, I think you could teach business 101. I think you're qualified, my man.
Well, I do know about losing money and being making sure that you got more than you spend.
Jerry Reynolds does not like losing money. Jerry Reynolds does not like spending money.
I don't like spending it either.
Save it.
Yeah, Mrs. Reynolds is better at that than me. But,
yeah, me too.
But I've adjusted. So there.
It's part of that marriage thing.
Yeah, you know. Happy wife, happy life.
Amen. Amen. So much more to talk about, but I know we got to cut you loose. Thanks again for being with us as you are every Tuesday from your beautiful place up in the mountains. 2 weeks ago, last question. No, maybe about a month ago, we looked at the roster and we said, ooh, if this is what the Kings are rolling into training camp with, I don't know that we're going to be so excited. And both of us weren't too happy. So as we go into the dead time, so for those that don't know, this is kind of the dead time. It's when the how would you explain this time right now before training camp?
Well, I'd call it dead time.
Dead time. Yeah.
Yeah. When it gets into August, it's just, there's nothing. So there's still some activity here late July. And so hopefully the Kings, if they would, you know, they still could get something done, but it's really slow time. And the reality is it probably is not going to be much done. But like you said, you know, we were talking about the other roster a month ago. I certainly was very, very disappointed with it, but you know, okay, now where is it now? Well, you got Schroeder, a veteran point guard who's a good player. You know, this has become a fairly old team, but the draft to bring, I thought, a lot of optimism. Still, you know, they're really good. They had a good draft, and I think it looks like Clifford is ready to play right away, and Reynolds, I think it won't be long till he's going to play and be a player. So that gives you optimism, and then I think the Isaac Jones, it looks like, you know, that he's ready, kind of like a Keon Ellis. He might be ready to be a legitimate player in the league, not just a 5-minute guy here and there. And so I'm more optimistic. I don't think we're ready to, you know, I'd like to say we're ready to contend for a top 6 spots. I don't believe that.
Yeah, we're not.
But they're better than they were a month ago.
Yeah, I think we're going to see moments where it's like, oh, this team's really good. And then you're going to see the moments this team really needs some help if this is how it materializes. But again, Scott Perry has set the bar fairly low for this year. And just because he said we want to be defensive minded, that doesn't mean that can happen right away with the tools that you have.
Yeah, we hope. And I mean, and that's the thing. You got some really, you know, really talented guys. Now, the parts that probably concerns me a little is just the age of the team in certain ways. It's not a young team anymore. And so I'm hoping that, that Clifford and Reynolds and Jones, some of these young 25, 4-year-old guys, can establish themselves here this year to where, you got something to look forward to. Because, with Domas and Levine and DeRozan and Schroeder, well, they're maybe not on the downslide, but they're not on an upslide.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. You have a true point guard now. What's that going to do? Is it going to rebalance things? So still lots to talk about, but we've got plenty of time to do it this summer. Jerry, are you headed out on your paddleboard tonight? Are you hitting the lake? What's going on?
No, I think I am going to get on the bike and ride a little bit. It's
Okay.
a little cool out there. Boy, when I left Sacramento Roseville this morning, it was cool. An unbelievable July. I told my wife, I said, we don't need to go to Tahoe. It's just as nice here in Roseville.
Yeah.
But so just that's the only good thing about being old and retired is you can do what you damn well please.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
So that's kind of what I'm going to do. But these next few weeks, Ryan, no fans, it's going to be some downtime, but we can find something to entertain everybody. I know with Tristan, he'll come up with all kinds of questions that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.
See, the good thing is during the dead period, Jerry, you don't have to study at all. You've got 6.5 days off.
And I appreciate that. Yeah, it was taking its toll on me.
I could tell.
Yeah, you could tell I was just really getting burnt out, weren't you?
Yeah, as soon as you started going 2.5 hours away from me every time the show's over, I'm like, maybe we need some distance.
So anyway.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, thank Mrs. Reynolds for allowing you to spend some time with us, and we will see you next week.
Yes, you will. Can't wait.
All right.
Can't wait to visit with the fans and bring those great questions, and maybe we'll have great answers one of these days. I don't know.
One of these days. We're always looking for this, Jerry.
All right. See ya.
Later,
That's
buddy.
a great question.
Good stuff. Very good conversation with Jerry. Is there ever a more enjoyable time during our week? And no, not the wrestling segment. Jerry, exactly right, Patrick. Thank you to Jerry for joining. We are very lucky to get that much time on a weekly basis in the off season with Jerry on Tuesdays. Thank you all for being here again. BJ, 38 wins with this roster. I think the over-under is 38.5, right? Yep. Big thank you. As we said, Jerry was really high on Isaac. That was pretty darn cool. Tristan, thanks, dude. Pair characters doing a classic mic drop. I think I figured that one out. Love it. Karen, and thank you, Tristan, very much. That goes right back into the channel. That goes into Jerry's pocket. That goes into just giving you a better product, having our guests and constantly improving what we're doing around here. 37.5. I don't have it up right now. I think some books had it at 37.5, others at 38. I don't know. It's going to probably change before the season starts. Numbers will change based off of injuries, based off of transactions. Remember, right around the end of the dead period, we got hit with the Carl Anthony Dude, you need to learn how to talk, Rhino.
Order in the court.
We got hit with the Carl Anthony Towns trade for Julius Randle. So, things can change a little bit dramatically. And sorry, I misspoke. I wasn't going to do it with Jerry, but it's the RP. It's what we were talking about before. It was the basketball related income. BRI is what I was referencing in the interview with Jerry. The NBA players have it at about 50-50 with the league. The WNBA players are making 9.3% of the basketball related income. Jerry made a great point about they're lucky to be getting That before Jerry came on, I'm thinking, 9.3, yeah, I can see that coming up, but with the salaries going up, Jerry might be right. 9.3 is kind of generous. It kind of is. I mean, you can't pay them like everything in business is at its best. You just can't. Or else the business is going to get worse. And what happens when those players are no longer there? The product might get worse. I mean, hopefully you have new players coming up and in, but man, a lot of good stuff, a lot of gems. If you missed any of it, make sure you go back. You can check it out on the channel. If you joined while Jerry was on, we'd love to have you subscribe. We are on a mission to get one more like than the day before. Yesterday, y'all came together, loved it. Thank you. Asked if we could get 25. I believe we got more than 25. So if we can get more than 26 today, let's go. We'll throw a pizza party. We'll throw some type of Bennett's party if we can keep it increasing on a daily basis. You have my promise there. Hell, maybe I'll shave my head again. Grant and I did that at Bennett's for charity a few years ago, which was a lot of fun. So, Rum Runners, yes, the Beacon. I spent my 21st birthday at the Beacon for like an hour or two. But the Rum Runners were like, you could barely get close to the place because it's always so busy. Like when you're 21, you're not really worried about the quality of the liquor that you're drinking. You're like, oh, free liquor? Oh, if I'm gambling, I get a free drink? Awesome. So like if you're a beer drinker, whatever, it's beer. But we were staying at the Embassy Suites. We decided to stay in Tahoe, even though we have a place in Strawberry, because we didn't want to do any driving. And the Embassy Suites, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to be legendary for doing free happy hours with like no limits on the drinks. So that was a trip. That was a heck of a trip to Tahoe. 21 done right, but we were drinking the well stuff. Like myself now at 41, what I would have told myself at 21, pay the extra $1 to at least get the step above the well, to not get the Montezuma tequila, the Borski vodka. Y'all know what we're talking about. Can you put together or put it in a doggy bag and send it east? Patrick, I could, but like I saw one of those. Sometimes you get into, I call it the loop of death with social media, where you see one video where it's like, oh, I think I'll watch that. Like on X, you'll watch a short or whatever it's called. And then another one pops up, and another one pops up, and another one pops up. And before you know it, it's been like 25 minutes, and there's all these things that you probably would have never watched that are now starting to feed to your channel, and it screws everything up. That's a long about way of me saying there was a reel or a short of some rich dude paying $37,000. $37,000 to have 2 cheesesteaks and 2 orders of French fries sent out west from a place in Philly. Think about that. The flight alone is like what, 4 hours? No, probably more than 4 hours. So it's not going to be super hot, super fresh, but he's calling the private jet company. They're like, yeah, we could get it on this jet. The food is the passenger. $37,000. So Patrick, if it's not $37,000, we can find a way to make that happen. Let's see. So is Monk looking like he's staying on the Kings? Yeah. I mean, for now, anything could change. I've been fairly transparent about what we heard going into free agency. Before free agency started, Scott Perry told him he was going to be here in Sacramento. They had a subsequent conversation, which I don't know what was discussed, which Scott discusses on a few interviews, that you can find on YouTube. But I think he will be in Sacramento. Now, that doesn't mean that if Neek continues to develop and is able to play in the open court, that, maybe that changes a little bit because you're looking to get money off, which I still think until you have a proven quantity of guys that can create, not just for themselves, but also for their teammates, Monk's one of those guys you can't let go of because he's like one of 3 people on the roster that can really do that effectively. So, and my big question for Malik Monk too is he going to be able to stay healthy? He's not finished the last 2 seasons. I mean, the Kings limped across the finish line and into the play-in without Malik Monk. It was point guard by committee with a bunch of combo guards and Domantas Sabonis. It's a hard ask. Hard ask. That's why the Kings got killed in the playing game. But yeah, don't want to end on a negative there. But also Devin Carter, to hear how disappointed Jerry was. It's a slippery slope, man. It falls somewhere in between, it's a tough ask, but you're still an NBA player. Find a way to make it work. Maybe Jerry saw the same play that I saw, but this was the play where, in my opinion, and I have not been in the film room, my opinion, this was the play that the Kings pulled the plug on the Devin Carter point guard experience in the championship game. You've got a wide open guy on an oop, Plowden, who just had done 2 plays back-to-back that got the team finally into the game. First, you get this massive putback dunk, which wakes the Kings up. The Kings end up getting within 12 points after this defensive play by Plowden. Sacramento Kings basketball personified. Bottle that up and sell it. That's what Scott Perry sees as the future for this team. Not him, but that style of basketball. And you have one trip up the court. Devin Carter misses a 3. This is the subsequent trip up the court after getting the stop. Plowden running the lane. Jerry Reynolds could have thrown that alley-oop to him down low. And he just missed it and settled for a 3. Mason Jones ended up starting the second half. Didn't mean Devin wasn't going to be on the floor. Just meant we're done. We're going to try to win this game. So it's a difficult ask for Devin, but it definitely handled a little bit awkward too with the whole shoulder thing. We've talked about it already this week, and we talked about it last week as well. So what's that going to look like? Is there going to be a spot for him? We'll see. Mason Jones, will there be a spot possibly for him? I still think Mason still should be invited to training camp. Concerned with Levine playing too much. Yeah, and that's where I think it's a good thing that you have Neek. I think that's a good thing that you do have Keon. I think you've probably got to be conservative. You can't run Zach LaVine the way you ran him at the end of last year. But then again, all of the starters were being ran into the ground. And here's the other one too. Keegan Murray. Last year, he had a couple stretches where he missed time because he was guarding the best player on the opposing team every single night. So can you find a way to get him some help defensively, and you'll get a little bit of that. You'll get that from Sabonis at times. Certainly we'll get that from Keon, possibly Devin. We'll see. So hey, don't forget, the night is young. Napes will be back for the first time since last week, 8:00 tonight. Make sure you join them. Be a lot of fun. Dennis, dude, I don't know how you are like not throwing down at what Jerry said. For me to have to say you did not just say that to a living legend like Jerry, like I was shocked. I had to explain it. That's why I had to explain it. I'm like, I don't want to think I'm being disrespectful. Holy bleep. We'll see. That's what got Dennis into some hot water. So, all right. we are out of here. Our biggest of thanks to Jerry Reynolds, and obviously to all of you. Help us get to 26 likes tonight. It would mean a lot. If you missed any of the show, you can catch it on replay, or you can download the audio on Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcast, The King's Court with Rhino. I would definitely subscribe to the audio version because throughout the season and even randomly, I will just pop up with shows that are audio exclusive. I like to call them shoot-arounds during the season. So make sure you are a part of that. Big thanks to Bennett's for sponsoring today's show. 3 locations here in the greater Sacramento area, Bennett'sRestaurants.com. And yeah, thank you to all of you. So we will see you tomorrow, King's Court, 3:00. Be here. We'll Phil, tomorrow we are going to roll out a new segment. Actually, we're going to test our basketball knowledge together. So you want to come around for that. But before Grant, 8:00, join him. Go Kings, light the beam. We are out.
Order in the court.
Whoa!